Hey guys, what's up? It's Autobot Mike 18 here with my worst movies of 2012 video. Guys, yes, I'm showing my face in front of the camera today to talk to you about some of the worst pieces of garbage that came out this year in the theaters that I unfortunately had to see. Guys, 2012, great year for film, not for some of these movies that I'm about to mention in this video. I got the posters of some of the movies right now. I have them with me. And if you want to see my top 10 favorite movies of the year video, that should already be up on my channel. If you guys want to check that out, that video is a lot more pleasant than this one will be, for sure. Now guys, I wanted to do a top 10 list of the worst movies I've seen all year, but I've only seen about like 22 or 23 movies, a little over 20 movies, and not every movie I had seen was bad. There were probably about 4 horrible movies, and then there were like 3 or 4 other movies that almost made the worst list, but didn't. There were really 4 movies though that were absolutely horrible, the 4 that I have right here, and a couple other movies, like I said, that almost so close to making the list. So right now I'm going to give you the 4 movies that absolutely irritated me to no end this year. Gladly, I forgot about most of them, so that's always good. And then I want to talk about the most disappointing movie of the year, the most overrated movie of the year, and the most forgettable movies of the year. So without further ado, I have 4 movies that I absolutely hated. Number 4 is a movie that a lot of you are going to be really surprised that I put this on the list, because pretty much everyone that saw this movie loved it. And as funny as it is, all these four movies are all horror movies. And the 4th one is Cabin in the Woods. Now, this movie has like a 90 on Rotten Tomatoes, so I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. But I did not like Cabin in the Woods. This is probably one of the most overrated movies I have seen all year, or I have heard of all year. I did not like this movie. I don't know what it was, but the only thing that I really liked about this movie, the only thing that saved this movie was Chris Hemsworth in it, and maybe Richard Jenkins. Everything else I hated about this movie. I don't know what it was. It's just completely overrated. And the only other good thing about this movie is that it is original. I will give it that. It's not like the everyday horror movie you have. It's no Friday the 13th or no Halloween. It's completely different. I don't want to spoil anything. I should though, because I don't care about this movie. But this movie, the bad things about this movie, it was boring in so many parts. I don't know why. I was never into this movie. I went into the theater and I don't know if it was the opening scenes or I never got hooked into this movie. I was never with this movie throughout. I was just sitting in the theater. I was like, when will it end? So many scenes in this movie didn't make sense. There's this one scene, you see all of these little Asian girls dancing around in this school, and you see, I forget the scene, but that's in the movie, and meanwhile you have these horrific events going on at this cabin, and then you have that scene. Okay, I don't know what sense that makes. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention to the movie anymore because it was just irritating me, and that's why I didn't get what was going on with that scene. I don't know, but I did not like this movie. Like a 7 or 6.5 out of 10, maybe even lower. I really did not like this movie. Way overrated. I have a list here of the movies I didn't like. It's just some scenes didn't make sense. I did not like The Cabin in the Woods. Way too overrated. Number 4. Number 3. Yes, I hate this movie a lot more than The Cabin in the Woods. I would rather watch The Cabin in the Woods all day long than watch this movie again, and that is The Apparition. Why are these kinds of horror movies getting made nowadays? I seriously am having problems with modern day horror writers. I think they're losing their touch. We are getting horrible horror movies this year, and it's starting to scare me. That's the scary thing. Not this movie. The fact that modern horror movies are horrible. This movie is so bad. Probably the only good thing about this movie, there maybe a couple creepy scenes. This movie is one of the most unscary movies of all time, probably. There is not one scary part that made me jump in this movie. Nothing works with this movie. Some parts didn't make sense for me. I really wasn't into this movie as well. It was just stupid. It didn't make sense. The ending was so bad. You know, it was one of those endings where you just want to just go like that. You know, I was looking forward to a better ending because the whole rest of the movie was just absolutely garbage, and then the ending just made everything a whole lot worse. Apparition, guys, please do not watch this movie. If you see this movie on Blu-ray in any store and you pick it up, just take it and just throw it on the floor and just walk away, because you will buy this movie and then you will feel disgusted after you watch it, because that's how bad this movie is. So horrible. Just, no. I'm done. I can't, and this is only number 3. Number 2, The Possession, an Exorcist movie that is nowhere near as good as the original Exorcist. I don't know why people call this and The Apparition a horror movie, and my number 1 pick, a horror movie. There are so many scenes in these movies that are boring, they're laughable. Same thing with The Possession. The acting is bad in this movie. Same with The Possession. It's not the greatest. The Apparition, I thought the acting was a little bit better than The Possession. The Possession acting was horrible, except for Jeffrey Dean Morgan. So many scenes in this movie were so stupid. A hand coming out of the mouth that is meant to be so creepy and scary. No, it's not. It's not. That's not scary. It's not. You can make it scary, but you failed miserably trying to do so. It's not scary, people. Please. Stop making movies like this that they look kind of creepy in the trailers, but they're not. They're stupid. They're just so bad. You know, so many seasons were unnecessary. This was not entertaining at all, and I just didn't like it. The little girl in this movie, she was good acting, but I didn't like her. No, I'm done with this movie. The only good thing I liked about this movie was the ending. Not just because the movie ended, but because the ending was actually a redeeming quality for this movie. Best ending out of all these horror movies that I just mentioned. Please, Possession, just no. Don't buy it on Blu-ray when it comes out. Please don't. You will save money, and you'll be glad you listened to me. Now, my number 1 pick is probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Get ready for some serious ranting. It is Silent House. I think literally everything was wrong with this movie. I don't think I can find one good thing I liked about this movie. By far, this movie, I would change its genre from a horror movie to a comedy. Every single scene in this movie, especially towards the end, I wanted to start laughing. It was kind of funny about what was happening with this movie. Elizabeth Olsen, she got paid to do this throughout the entire movie. She got paid to hide. She got paid to scream when it was necessary, when she was scared, and that's it. And this movie, it's supposed to look like it's all in one take. That doesn't help the movie at all. That makes the movie just look more stupid, you know? I think that actually hurt the movie more by making it look all like it was shot in one take. The movie is stupid. There's one point in the movie, you see toilets hanging on the walls, and you see blood coming out of the toilets. Or do you think I'm lying? You think I'm still lying about this movie? Yeah, that's in this movie. There's hanging toilets on the wall with blood coming out of them. That's Silent House. This movie's unscary. It's funny in some scenes. It is boring. I wanted to ask my money back when I got out of this movie. Horrible movie. Elizabeth Olsen, bad acting in this movie. I'm done. I can't rant about the Silent House anymore. I'm so glad I never have to talk about it again. This was one of the first movies I'd seen in 2012. If it was the first movie I had seen in 2012, it would have ruined my entire year for movies. Thankfully, I saw Act of Valor first, but these movies, Silent House, The Possession, Apparition, and Cabin in the Woods, horrible movies. Silent House takes the cake as one of the worst movies, as the worst movie of the year, and one of the worst movies I have ever seen in my life. Horrible, horrible movies. I'm done with them. Alright, guys. Now I'm done with that ranting. I can go on to a couple of awards I want to give to some movies that really disappointed me. The award for the most disappointing movie, the movie where I was looking forward to seeing it, and it was the biggest letdown of the year. That is Taken 2. Most of you know I was really looking forward to Taken 2. I loved the first Taken. That was one of the best thrillers ever made in my opinion. And the only thing that saved Taken 2 was probably Liam Neeson and a couple of cool action scenes. Other than that, this is the same exact thing as the first Taken. I was really disappointed with this movie. Biggest flop of the year. Biggest disappointment. I was really let down when I got out of the theater. This is another example of The Hangover Part 2. Same exact thing as the first Hangover. The same thing with Taken. Taken 2 is the same exact thing as the first Taken. There's a couple of scenes you might get a few laughs out of, but I was really disappointed with this movie. I was going to put it on my worst list for the worst movies of the year, but I couldn't because there were a couple of nice scenes in the movie. And surprisingly, I want to get this movie on Blu-ray because I like collecting franchises. And Taken 2 is a part of the Taken franchise, so I will buy Taken 2 on Blu-ray. I have to, because that's just bad habit. And maybe if I watch the movie again, maybe I'll like it. I hope that's the case. But overall, this movie is boring in some parts, surprisingly. You know, there's a couple of cool new Liam Neeson action movies. The action was badly filmed. Like, bad camera work in this movie. Really bad in some of the action scenes. That really hurt the movie. Big letdown, Taken 2. I'm very sad to see this movie on the list, but you know what? It was. And another award that I have to give for the most, one of the most forgettable movies of the year is House at the End of the Street. I wouldn't put the movie as one of the worst of the year. There were a couple of nice parts with the movie. I like Jennifer Lawrence's performance. No, I didn't like Jennifer Lawrence just because she wore a white tank top the whole movie and she was running around in it. No, that's not why. I thought she was good in the movie. I like her. She's a great actress. And there was a nice twist in this movie that I really enjoyed. But overall, the rest of the movie, I can't remember a thing from this movie. And it's not only this. Silent House, forgettable as well. Possession, not as forgettable, but The Apparition is even more forgettable than this, probably. But this is another movie I had to mention because it is very forgettable. And yeah, there were some flaws with this movie. It wasn't the best horror movie ever. It really needed work. It could have been a lot better. It sounded really creepy. It was kind of a letdown. It's worth mentioning, but it's not one of the worst movies of the year. It's just okay. And two other movies that I think are worth mentioning that everyone hates, but I just couldn't put them in my worst list. Chernobyl Diaries. I liked this movie. I thought it was a good horror movie. Yeah, there were some problems with it. I loved the Chernobyl setting. I thought that was a perfect part of the movie. Yeah, this movie wasn't that scary at all, but really, what's more scary, this or Silent House? Yeah, Chernobyl Diaries wins. Yeah, it does. This definitely, yeah, it had its problems, but I liked it more than, you know, my 4 worst movies of the year for sure. It was just okay. It needed work. Some of the acting was iffy and kind of short, I guess, but it's alright. You know, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as people say it is. And the other movie I'm going to mention really quickly that I was also another letdown here. Not as big as letdown as Taken 2, but still a very big letdown. Red Dawn. I was really looking forward to going to see this movie, and I've never seen the original. I thought the remake was a big disappointment, actually. This movie, there were plot holes galore in this movie. The movie felt rushed in so many scenes. Josh Peck's acting, I was really disappointed in his acting in this movie. It wasn't that great. The rest of the acting was pretty good. Hemsworth was good, but there were some nice action scenes. There were those scenes where I said, what the hell? The kids get from their hideout into the town controlled by the North Koreans, and I'm like, how did they do that? How did they get past the North Koreans? And they somehow just did. It was okay. I recommended it. It was a fun time, but you know, what do you want from this movie? It's all right. You know, it's not as bad as people say it is. It is worth mentioning. It's not the worst movie of the year. It's not one of the worst movies of the year, but it was close. It was close. So Chernobyl Diaries, Red Dawn, House of the End of the Street, Taken 2, almost made the list, but I decided no, they do have their redeeming qualities, but Cabin in the Woods, Apparition, Possession, and Silent House, these 3 pieces of garbage, all deserve to make the list. Horrible movies. Don't rent them, don't buy them, don't even look at them if they're in the store. Just hide all of them. Put cooler Blu-rays like the Avengers and the Dark Knight Rises in front of them, please do me a favor. I'm gonna do that when I go to my Walmart next time. Guys, did you like my my worst movies of 2012 video? Let me know the worst movies you'd seen all year. There were a couple movies I never did get a chance to see that I know would have been bad, namely Piranha 3 Double D. I heard that was horrible, and Silent Hill Revelation. Also, the Guilt Trip and Parental Guidance I heard were very bad movies. So, never saw those, but they could have even made my list. I don't know. I heard they were really bad. But let me know the worst movies you saw all year, guys, and stay tuned for my top 10 movies of the year video, which is a lot more pleasant. And I hope you enjoyed me ranting about these movies. Thanks for sticking with me this year on YouTube. And yeah, got more movie reviews coming in the year of 2013. I hope you enjoyed my top 10 best movies of the year and my worst movies of the year videos. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.